All right, we should be live. Hey, if anybody out in computer land can hear us, please comment.
Yeah, you guys sound good.
Okay, great.
Molly's on there.
Thanks for that, Molly. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is weird.
I know, right? We should put the camera over there.
I don't know where to look now.
All right, virtual people might just get the side of us because we're gonna do this. For sure. Okay, well, good morning. Do we have, we'll start with, so everybody's here, right? Like, we're sort of here. We are mostly packed away, I think, today. I walked in and there was some boxes and Brooke made them all disappear. So they're getting unpacked and settled and they're settled in their spot. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to be up here. It was a crazy day, but I think we pulled it off. And Sugar House office is now officially like shut off. There's no Wi-Fi, there's nothing. They're pulling wires and kind of going crazy today. So there you have it. If you need stuff, here is the place to come. In fact, we've got a handful of Sugar House agents coming. Okay, where are the computers? Where can we work? And figuring out the logistics. So we'll get there, but yeah, it's kind of fun. So announcements, let's see, we'll do announcements real quick, right?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know that you know about this, Hannah.
I don't.
And I read the comments on the thing. Basically what this is a new tool that's in MarketQuest inside MyCB Desk. And so if you want to go pull any statistics about the market, this will be kind of the new format. It's better looking, you know, and it'll produce this automatically for you so you can share on social media, that type of thing. So that's in MarketQuest.
And it goes by like city or zip code, right?
Yeah, so you can break it down. So this one, obviously Sandy, right? Number one in Sandy, and then they're going by sales volume. Okay, so you can do all sorts of things like that to produce this for listing presentations.
Create like one for your whatever zip code you're listing in, that kind of thing.
Earnest money.
Yes, still wiring earnest money. That's probably the best, easiest, fastest way to do it. It gets it in. And we've had a few people where they're canceling a deal and want to know if they can transfer it to another deal. We can do that as well. Just got to get in touch with Jamie. We can figure that part out. So
yeah, and if you haven't noticed, it's auto-populating. That wire transfer form is auto-populating when you create the buyer template. So you could just forward that to your clients. So, yeah. Okay, this is kind of a big deal for us going forward. So by a raise of hands in the virtual world, how many people hate the listing and sales info sheet? And for those who can't see it, all our agents raise their hand. You're probably raising your hand as well. So thank goodness it's going away. We are transferring and we are getting rid of it. Okay, so positive steps. It will be called My Deals. It'll be in MyCB Desk. So some of the features that this will have, very similar to all the other technology we have, it's going to auto-populate stuff from the MLS for you. So we can cut down on the massive amount of input for those things. Yes?
Will it go into .loop?
No, it's connected. It's connected to the MLS. And so it's going to pull BAC, all that stuff is a theory from the MLS and square footage and listing agents and all that and auto-populate it for you. I'm sure you're still going to have to do some input on your own, right? But it is Teams friendly. And so that is rolling out.
My guess is that we'll probably sync up
soon.
Staff.
Is the
We're
answer.
Figuring it out. It's new, but I think that's the idea, is to have it kind of link up with the staff for getting your deals put together when you put stuff in.
Yeah. Okay. So
data updates every 30
yeah,
minutes.
we covered it. We covered it.
All right. Okay. As much as we know.
Okay. Social ad engine. This is, everybody's seen social ad engine in their MyCB Desk. So they've added new features, which are you can add video to the post that you want to include in the social ad engine if you're going to use that feature. So video uploads and agent branding. So this is more lead gen. You don't have to have a listing to go out there and boost something. It'll do some lead gen automatically for you. And you know about this and more than I do.
A little bit. So in July, they're going to be changing Listing Concierge. So we've had a pretty decent platform, but they've added some huge improvements. And they said the new platform is much more user friendly. It's much more like, it's less cumbersome to work through all the steps. And so it's more kind of cohesive. We haven't actually seen it, but they said the idea behind it is it's a much better system, much better system than what we've had. And it will be more team friendly, which is kind of a big deal for a lot of people, like being able to make your marketing work better within that system. So that's kind of, they've done a lot of, kind of taken all of our feedback over the last year of all the things it doesn't well and what it doesn't do well, and kind of combined it into a better platform. So the idea, and the reason we talk about it now, because it's not changing until July, is because if you do have listings and pictures and things on there that you want to save, like if you have a YouTube video from one of your listings that you want to put on your YouTube channel, or if you want to create pull down any of the PDFs and marketing on the stuff you want to save, maybe for your own personal marketing for listing presentations, do that now, because once they switch the platform over in July, none of that will be there anymore. It's not transferring over because they're completely different platforms. So just kind of a heads up on that. So if you have listings that you want to pull your marketing out of, kind of do it and save it on your computer ahead of time. So,
yeah. And there's going to be a transition period there where they won't accept new listing concierge orders because they don't want active orders in that system.
Yeah.
So
they'll kind of, yeah.
Let's see. WFR and the MLS are now providing virtual open house links. They're displayed on the property details page, including the link that you provide.
Have you noticed,
we'll learn more about that.
Have you noticed when you go do open houses, you have the option to do the virtual open house versus the in-person one? And there's a place where you can put a link for that kind of stuff. So
is that like we go live link? Like this is a link you click on to go live and watch it?
I don't think it's a live link. I think it's a
recorded,
it's like
pre-recorded.
a YouTube or a pre-recorded virtual tour.
Okay.
So
no, they're actually, they're live links. Sorry, guys.
Molly says they're live links.
Yeah.
Thanks,
so
Molly.
So
we can barely hear you.
Saying is, oh, sorry, guys. It's pretty much just saying we're showing those now on the Coldwell Banker websites. So you're gonna start seeing a lot more little banners that show like this one has a 3D tour, this one has a virtual open house, this one has a real life open house. So it's going to make it really easy for consumers to get information on listings.
Okay.
So hopefully drive you guys some more business from the official website too.
Okay. So really it's more banners for stuff on all the Coldwell Banker sites. So if you have those features on your listings, then it's going to sort of draw attention to that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone else can't hear Molly, but we can sort of hear Molly from far, far away. So
that was perfect.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure I'm understanding that correctly. Okay.
And continuing our trend with virtual education expos, July 9th,
This
2
is
p.m.
what,
Eastern time.
part 2 of the 3-part Dave Ramsey Wealth Builder, right? No, that's not, sorry.
We have one in there as well. But this is traditional lead generation with a virtual twist is the subject matter for this virtual education expo. So if you have interest in that, July 2nd, reach out to us for more info if you need it. Here is your training calendar for the week. If you're feeling the need to train up, go ahead and you know where to find that on your Sales Pro.
Yep. Okay. List at a distance. Oh, that's her class of the month. Okay,
Stacey
gotcha.
Staley's class of the month. Yeah.
So, and I don't think that's as big a thing here. I feel like everybody here is sort of doing in-person listing presentations. I know in other states they can't. And so this is a big deal in places where they can't get in front of sellers. And so they're doing listing presentations, through Teams or virtually. And that's kind of what that class covers. I don't know that it's as relevant in our market because I think most of you guys are just in person. But if you want to know, there you have it.
Yeah, that's June 30th, by the way. Okay, culture stuff. So clients for life, we're going to slowly start working back in some of the old stuff that we were doing, and which includes giveaways, stuff like that. So pay attention to your clients for life desk.
Felt like that was a little weird during the whole COVID thing. So they took all that away, all the giveaways and gift cards and all that stuff. So, but maybe now everybody wants the giveaway and the gift cards. So we'll start doing it again.
Yeah. Western Region Town Hall. This is sort of a state of real estate kind of a thing. June 25th.
That is our regional vice president, Greg Macris. So it looks like that's who's going to be doing that. So Western Region, I'm guessing that's us, Arizona, California, Colorado, right? Colorado and West. So that whole region. Similar markets to Utah, but some differences. They're in different states than we are as far as the crisis and pandemic too. So, okay.
We have a career night coming up. This is a virtual career night. So if you have anybody who's thinking about joining real estate, let us know. We'll send them the links. And Stacey Staley is the one that kind of runs that. And we have a couple of good speakers who will get on and join that. So pretty cool event. Gen Blue.
Moved 1 year back.
Yep.
So I know there are a bunch of agents in this office that were set up to go to that. So they're rolling your tickets forward to October 2021, I believe. Still New York, still same venue and everything. They're just pushing it a year back. So, and I don't know if you wanted refunds on stuff, we'd have to find out through the network if you wanted to get those back.
Yeah, they're doing them. They're doing
They're doing
if they
refunds.
want.
Okay. Molly says, yes, they are doing refunds on that if you want that. So reach out to me if you want that and we'll figure that out. Otherwise, we'll just plan on October because I'll be there. I'm excited. New York. This is really cool. This is Portraits of What Moves Her. I don't know if have any of you guys been on this? Done these? Did you do? I like the one from last month. It was super interesting. This girl is super interesting because she has kind of a background. She was isn't she a WWE wrestler or something?
Really?
She is. No.
Wrestle like a girl.
Yes,
Yeah,
wrestle
she's a
like a
professional
girl.
wrestler.
She's an
She was a
elite
professional
woman
wrestler.
wrestler, combat army veteran, sports psychologist, and founder of the advocacy organization Wrestle Like a Girl.
Mm-hmm. She's pretty cool. I was reading her bio. She's pretty cool. And so that kind of will do a whole hour of just interviewing her, getting some idea behind, conquering challenges, mindset, and just a lot of that kind of stuff. They've been really good, though. I've watched at least a couple of them, and they've been really good.
All right, very good.
Good moderator.
This is the follow-up to Dave Ramsey. So this is the 3-part series. I think this is the second session,
Yeah.
and this is Thursday,
Yes.
June 18th.
Chris
So
Hogan. He was funny, actually. I listened to part of it, and he's pretty entertaining.
Is the first one and this one, can you watch them on?
You can.
yeah, you can get all these recorded sessions and go back and watch the first one if you
In
want.
fact, yesterday, and I know because I was sending it to Jenny, but if you go into your CV desk and you go on the left-hand side and you go under My Business, and there's a place where it says Education, and when you click on Education, it'll pull up all the virtual education expos, the wealth builders, and even a lot of the other online, the What Moves Her, they're all in there. So you can go click on those links and pull up the recordings for them. And
These global luxury magazines, Homes and Estate Summer Supplement, if you want to put properties in there, now's the time to start placing these orders for those.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. That concludes announcements.
That's all you, huh?
Are we bringing up our special guests?
Gene?
Yeah.
All right.
Gene,
We'll give Gene
welcome
a
to
few
the stage,
minutes. There you
Gene.
go.
Hey, Gene.
You just have to stand right there.
Hi,
so we
guys.
can see you.
I'm Gene with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. It's good to see people in person. I gotta admit, I'm a little freaked out too. This is my coming out party, so to say. Along with the efficiency of our company, to let you know how important it is for us to get you a pre-qualification as soon as possible. You know that when someone logs into our digital mortgage, it automatically takes their application, pulls their credit, runs desktop underwriter. If they put their bank information in, it pulls in their bank statements to verify assets. And to go even further, if you have a self-employed borrower, we all know how complex those tax returns can get, right? Dave, you know this.
Oh, yes.
Being a former loan officer. So many of the self-employed people will have layers and layers of business returns. We have a product in our system called LoanBeam, along with the pre-qualification, and LoanBeam will automatically read these tax returns and give us the results of the income within just a couple of hours rather than a couple of days if we have to do it by hand. So keep that in mind. It really speeds up your pre-approval process. Personally, I want to thank everyone for the referrals. Pam, thank you. Everyone out there that has sent business to us, we really value that. And with that, we are sponsoring lunch here on Thursday.
Yay!
So we wanted to do, Hannah approached me with a barbecue, and you know me, I love to flip burgers. I've done that for you a lot down at Sugar House. So unfortunately, with COVID, our company won't allow us to have any open food. So we've brought in box lunch, well, not yet because they go bad, but we're going to have box lunches brought in on Thursday from Kneaders. So it's good food. It'll be a nice opportunity to see a few people. So please come up. Thanks again. I'm Gene with Guaranteed Rate Affinity.
Gene, I want to speak to you and appreciation for the many extra miles that you go. Recently, he jumped in on a deal for me. We were in a multiple offer situation. They had pre-qualified with their credit union. It was a nightmare. We couldn't reach the agent or the loan officer over the weekend. We needed desperately to have something. So I think it was like at 9 or 9:30 at night, I called Gene and say, help. He was on it. He answered his phone. He had my buyers on that phone and had them boom, bada boom, and a pre-approval letter back in no time.
Wow.
And he locked a rate in that they almost passed out when they heard what it was. And so not all lenders are created equal. Thanks, Jane.
I appreciate
Very,
that,
very
Pam.
much.
Thank you very
did.
much.
Yes, you're
Have
right.
a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Gene.
All right.
Mr. Dave.
Diamond Dave.
I'm Dave.
Okay, sadly, much as I hate to admit it, title's boring, you know. We all sell, I'm not. I can be. We all sell widgets. It comes down to service. I mean, at the end of the day, it's taking care of your client, it's taking care of your lender. Those are peripheral services, and that's what we try to provide from the in-house platform that we've been offered here. Secured land title, I'm going to start calling it SLT because secured land title is cumbersome to me. And SLT sounds like I should be here. SLT.
Right?
See, I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I got to introduce you all to Eric Telford yesterday on a video. I want to get him out personally to meet all of you. He's probably the most capable escrow officer I've ever met. He has the ability to do it all. And he works with a young lady by the name of Chris Dooley, who is also that capable. And the two of them are a fantastic team. So we're open, we're doing what we can do. We're just in a little cubby hole right now in Sugar House, but a couple of years, wait and see where we're looking at that point. So thank you for all you do for us, and we'll try to do what we can for you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Are we supposed to clap? Yeah. Make sure we're good. And that was awesome. I'm glad that we had them because yes, Thursday we are doing the lunch thing. I'm super excited about it. So we will be here and we will weather. That's not wood. Weather permitting at noon on Thursday.
Drywall.
Yeah, I know that didn't
There's a
work.
stud.
I was hoping there was a
There's
stud
a
in there
stud in there
somewhere. Okay,
somewhere.
see, she heard the difference. She
It's
knew there was a
metal.
stud.
There are metal studs in this building.
Oh, you're ruining my fun. I gotta run over there, knock on the table.
All right.
So yes, noon, box lunches, awesome, we're excited. And if nothing else, it'll just be fun. Hey.
All right.
Yeah.
So today's subject matter is we're going to talk about investments, and we're going to, as we talk about this, let's make the assumption that we're talking about single family homes and why we should buy single family homes. Okay. And really all I want to talk about is, or all I want to do here is maybe give you a new way to view these things when we are talking to investors. Okay. And why they're doing things, and maybe give you some new language and a new perspective on what's going on. Okay. So let's talk about why someone would buy real estate versus stocks. Okay. Between 1928 and 2013, the average annualized return, housing was 3.7% and stocks were 9.5%. So to put that in perspective, a $100 investment in the average home in 1975 would have grown to about $500 by 2013. A similar investment in the S&P 500 over that time frame would have grown to approximately $1,600. Okay, sounds good. Hey, thanks, Dan.
Can I get signature?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And last name?
Color.
Color. Thank you.
All right, so but there's a flip side to this coin. From 2000 to 2016, real estate outperformed the stock market approximately 2-to-1, returning 10.7% annually compared with the S&P 500 index at only 5.43%. Okay, so is real estate bad? Okay, these are the bad things about real estate. Okay, we can't easily liquidate real estate. Now, maybe that's changed in our market a little bit. A single family home, we can liquidate it in 45 days, right? An average price home. But still, right, we can liquidate a stock in what? Minutes and have our cash. The potential or inevitable great costs for maintenance. Okay, tenancy emergencies. This is not a weekend type investment, right? Additional costs maintained from property managers to plumbers, electricians, housing bubbles, right? We don't think we're feeling it, but in some parts of the country, they could be feeling some significant housing problems in the coming 6 months, right? That's not something that is out of the realm of possibility. It requires a larger initial investment to enter as well as research, okay? What is bad about stocks? They're not a tangible asset. How many people feel as good when you buy a home versus when you buy stocks? It's not the same feeling, right? We can't drive by our stocks, and we have virtually no control over our stocks, right? The stock market rising does not mean that your stocks rise. So if the housing market rises, the the opportunity that your house is going to escalate is also high, right? Stock prices may be volatile. All these things can affect your investment, okay? But let's start with this. Let's start with this concept. How many here think the owner-occupied home, so your own personal home, is an investment? Okay. So let me ask you this question. How many people have, throw your personal home aside, how many people have an investment right now? Okay. How many people with that investment, you just raise your hand over, spend money every month to service the debt on that investment? Okay. So you're servicing, hold on. Now, if a tenant is servicing those investments, that's not the same. It's not coming out of your pocket. So if you're buying stocks, right, are you forking over hundreds of dollars in interest in order to maintain that investment? Is significantly different. Now, in actual terms, like in the perfect definition, your single family home probably is an investment. Now, when we compare it to renting versus buying, now investment, the term investment means a lot to us, right? Because the difference in those two outcomes are substantial. So renting versus buying, it's a no-brainer, right? We can easily show that you're in a much better place 10 years down the line if you buy a home. But what do we do with the money that we earn in our home's equity? What can we really do with it, right? It's locked up. And then if we want to access our home's equity, that cash that we've earned, what happens? We pay for it. We pay interest on it. We're getting a loan on our own equity, okay? So don't view in practical terms, if somebody's talking about buying investment properties, owner-occupied homes, right? They're not necessarily traditional investments, okay? We'll move on. Okay. What's great about real estate? This is why we buy real estate, okay? How many people leverage money when they buy stocks? So if you have $5,000 and you want to buy $40,000 worth of stocks, can you do that?
If you have a margin.
Yeah. If you want to take a lot of risk, you do that, right? Does that sound comfortable?
No.
Leveraging and getting a loan to buy stocks. How many people think that's comfortable? No. Sounds horrible, right? Sounds super risky. But we don't consider that a risk when we buy real estate, right? It's part of it. That's part of the benefit. So we're buying a $300,000 asset with $50,000. That's pretty great, right? It's a tangible asset. We can drive by it. We can manage this thing. If there's something bad going on, we have control. Do you have control over Amazon and what they do in their business practices? You don't have any control, right? If Nike all of a sudden decides that we want to run KKK ads all day and their company disintegrates in 6 months, do you have any control? You don't have any knowledge. You can do is sell it, right? So we have significant control over this. We get to leverage it, and we get to buy an asset that is significantly more than our actual cash can buy. Okay, so leverage is important. Not to mention, when we actually buy an investment property, we can depreciate this for tax benefits. What are your tax benefits in stocks?
Losses.
Right? The only time you get a tax benefit is we get burned. That doesn't sound like a benefit, right? That's a consolation prize. Like, I'm sorry for your loss. Here's your tax benefit. So when we buy real estate, when we buy investment properties, we get tax benefits, okay? And it comes in the form of 1031 exchanges or deferred tax liability. So that's what a 1031 exchange is, right? It's deferring your taxes to a further point in the future. And that can be good or that can be bad. People use this in order to retain a bigger chunk of cash so they can buy more real estate and leverage higher, right? Depreciation. So if you own an investment property, you can depreciate it over 27.5 years. And so that reduces your tax liability over that time as well, okay? This is called a phantom expense. It's not real. If your house ages 30 years, does it lose value? No, it's probably going to gain a lot of value in 30 years, but not according to the IRS, okay? It's losing value. It's a phantom expense, so that's really good. Let's talk about a few concepts. So cash on cash return or equals annual pre-tax cash. So when we think of cash on cash return, here's my little flow chart, show you how that may work. So if you're investing $74,500, you got a mortgage of that, okay? So your payment, your taxes, insurance at a 5% is $1,498, okay? And then let's pretend that your monthly rent is $2,250. So income, expenses, cash flow, $477, okay? So $477 is your return. Of course, we're going to times it by 12. So you got about $5,000 return on $74,500. That's cash, right? Your actual return on the actual cash invested. That's what that means, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. But let's think about that. Now, how many people feel comfortable? Forget about, we all feel comfortable because we're in real estate, right? It's what we do every day. We understand it to a serious degree, so we're comfortable with the risk. But let's pretend like we have no idea what we're doing. We just took on almost $250,000 in debt to put $477 a month in our pocket. And we spent $74,500 to do it. Now, when I paint that picture, how comfortable do you feel? Pretend it's not real estate. Pretend it's a car that somehow is, right, producing this income. Does that feel good? Doesn't feel good, does it? It only feels good to us because we understand real estate. Like it's a thing we can wrap our arms around. We can kind of predict what the future may hold for us. And we feel confident about what that'll look like in 10 years, okay? So why is this a good deal? So I just explained why it's a bad deal. Why is that a good deal? And view it as in terms of, I have $74,500, okay? Why is that a good deal now? Because I just painted the bad picture of why that's a bad deal. Why is it a good deal?
Cash flow, appreciation.
There you go. So we have significant tax benefits.
Yep.
But what else do we have?
Somebody else paying your asset.
What's that?
Somebody else is paying for your asset.
There you go. Someone else is paying to service the debt on $223,000. You're not paying to service that debt, are you? Right? So somebody else is paying it. But let's put about it this way. Let's say that you have $74,500 and your only goal is to generate cash flow. What else do you do? We can buy stocks, right? Do you think you can buy stocks and generate that kind of cash flow every month? 477? It's going to be difficult, isn't it? Right? We can get a dividend, but does the dividend, are any of the dividends out there, are we really going to feel amazing about those? And do they change rapidly? And can things, disintegrate before our eyes with our investment? That's sort of why we do it. Not to mention, okay, let's go back to this. Let's say we did find a financial product out there, like, we're buying a bonds or whatever we're going to buy. And they go, yeah, we'll give you $477 a month. Do we anticipate, if somebody offered that, which that would be hard, do you think $74,500 is going to grow? No way that's going to grow, right? That's it. It'll probably maintain.
It's not even capital preservation.
Yeah.
It could go down.
Yeah, so if it's not growing, 10 years later, did it lose value? Didn't keep up with inflation, right? You just lost value. Yeah, we got cash flow, but we lost actual value because it didn't keep up with inflation. So that's why this looks so good. So what happens in 10 years to $74,500 when we go sell a $300,000 property? It grows substantially, right? All of a sudden our equity, this is our equity, grows substantially. We've just put $477 a month in our pocket, okay? So does real estate look as attractive if we anticipate 1-2% home price increases? Does that feel great? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
But think about it. How many people have been landlords? Okay. Does the prospect of being a landlord and putting $477 in your month when your asset doesn't grow, does that sound fun? Sounds miserable. Okay, it's miserable anyway, but we put up with it because our home values are growing at a good clip. Like, that's attractive, right? I'll put up with misery for money. We all do, okay? It's called work. Okay? So that's why this is meaningful, okay? That's why real estate is so attractive, because we can leverage, okay? But think about this. Think of how important leverage is real simply. If we couldn't leverage this, but we could still get the cash flow, and we had 4% increases, or let's call it 10% increases. Do you want 10% on 74,000, or do you want 10% on 300,000? That's big, right? That's what leverage does for you. We're getting growth on $300,000. We're getting leverage on money we never put down. Somebody else did, and they don't even get that back from us. That's why that's meaningful, okay? So anyway, when we do the math, you're getting 7.7% return on your 74,000 annually. That doesn't factor in appreciation of the home, okay? So your cash on cash return is 7.7%. Do you do this deal? What is the right number? Let's say our home prices don't increase, but you're getting 7.7% return on your money. Do you want to do that? I mean, we probably do, because we're real estate people, right? But do your investors want to do that, right? Think about it from, I represent investors. What's the best thing for them to do to their money? We just made the argument the best thing to do with your $74,500 in this market is to buy a single family home, okay? Now, I'm going to make an argument why you don't buy duplexes and fourplexes from the investor standpoint. Do duplexes and fourplexes, do they automatically increase in price because your single family home went up? What is their price supposed to be based on?
Return.
Your return, your rents, right? So if we don't raise our rents, if your investor gets in there, well, let's start with it. How many people have investors and they go, listen, my rents, I keep them low to keep good tenants.
I do that.
Okay? When you do that, you're making a decision. I want stability versus growth. Okay? That's a decision you can make, and that's perfectly fine, but it's a sacrifice, isn't it?
It is.
Okay? It's a sacrifice. So it's a sacrifice in the value of your home. Okay? So if you are a person who says, I want cash flow and I want growth in my asset, you price your rents as high as the market will allow. That's the strategy, okay? Otherwise, you're sort of missing out on that, because that's the only way to grow that asset. Now, why do we buy duplexes and fourplexes? Because there's a good reason to buy a duplex and fourplex, okay? The reason is because we have multiple tenants, and if one goes away, we still have cash flow, right? We can still cover expenses, we can still do all those things. What happens if a tenant destroys a single family home? Probably lose 2 months worth of rent at a minimum, right?
At a minimum.
Okay, so if we lose 2 months worth of rent, what does this number look like? Dismal, right? And then let's say they didn't pay their last month's rent. Now you have almost, and then you factor in expenses and maintenance and everything else you paid for, you're probably not at 3%. Okay, that's the risk we're taking. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, cap rates. This is something that I think let's talk about when cap rates are most applicable. So cap rate is capitalization rate, right? The capitalization rate is actually a really easy math problem. So what you would do is you take the current market value and whatever your rents are, right? So if your rents are $100,000 and your current market value is $1 million, what is your cap rate? 10%. What did you say? 10%. Very good. It's that easy, okay? And so we can even do the math backwards, okay? So if we want to know the value of a building that's producing income, and we know it's 100,000, now cap rates is an indicator of several things, okay? Cap rates can be an indicator of current market conditions, right? Lending requirements. It could be an indicator of the quality of the asset, okay? So is 10% a good or a bad number when you're buying income producing property? It's amazing. Okay. To give you perspective, if you're buying a Class A apartment complex in the Salt Lake Metro right now, you could expect to pay about 4.5% cap rate. Okay. 4.5% cap rate. How does that feel for a return? Yeah, right? Doesn't feel good. But what does that do to your asset if you own that asset and the cap rates are going down? What does that do to your asset? The value goes up, right? Because you're producing, let's say you're producing $100,000 of income and your cap rate goes down, you're going to divide that percentage by the $100,000 and your price, your asset rises, okay? So the other way to raise your asset is to do what? Increase the income, right? So the cap rates are a reflection of market conditions and demand, okay? So think about this and put it in even bigger perspective. Let's say there's two buildings and they're both 5,000 square feet and they're both basically on opposite corners on the same street, the same demographic, okay? One of them has a national tenant called AutoZone and the other one has Bob's Tires. Would you pay more? Which one are you going to pay more for? Obvious, right? We're going to pay more for AutoZone because we know that their credit is significantly better. And if it goes dark, they're going to keep paying us. Now, Bob's, it's the same building, right? It's the same everything. They look exactly the same, but Bob doesn't get to charge as much because his credit isn't as good. Now, Bob could be an amazing business operator and he could be running a very profitable business for 20 years. But if we go sue Bob because he didn't pay his rent, you know, it's a lot different than suing AutoZone, isn't it? Right? So that's why the cap rates are different. Do this quick math problem. Pull out your calculator so we can figure this out. Tell me what the value of a building is that produces 45,000 net operating income and the cap rate is at 7%. How much is that worth?
Well, of course I get a mortgage calculator. I'll back amortize.
Bueller? Anybody got it?
Bueller? Yeah, Bueller.
I don't even know off the top of my head. Anybody get there? So take $45,000 divided by 0.07 and you will come up with, I think, $643,000. Okay. So if you wanted to know what the cap rate is, right, you could do a whole bunch of ways to go about that math problem. You could take the value of the building and someone says, listen, my building is $643,000 and it's a 7 cap. All you have to do is find the NOI is obviously times it by 7%. Okay. That's basically how you're establishing rent. Now this is probably a pretty good exercise to do so you can kind of gauge what an asset is returning for your clients even on a single family home. Right, so if it's producing, so let's go back. So let's figure out, oh, we can do this. So figure this out. Somebody do 2250 times 12, okay? Let's figure out what the cap rate is on this. I didn't actually do this. 2250 times 12, okay? So this asset, this single family home is producing $27,000 worth of income every year, okay? So divided by, I think we said 300,000. So that home is amazing. You're not going to find it anywhere in this state, but it's a 9% cap. I mean, that's just impossible. I probably should have done a little better example, but that's a 9 cap on that house. Okay. That's a 9% return. Now, do we factor in debt when we factor in returns and cap rates? They don't apply, right? What we factor in is utilities, property management expense, repairs, that type of thing. So if it's 27,000, but you spent 15,000 on property managers and repairs, the value of your home went down because you're not actually producing real cash flow there. Include debt. Okay. Okay. How much time do we got?
Good.
20 minutes. Okay. So I did do. We're not going to do that because I don't think we have enough time. So if you want to figure out what your market looks like if you're going to do single family homes and help your investors figure out what that investment market looks like, it's really easy to do. Just create an Excel spreadsheet, and go on KSL and just start with the zip codes that matter to you, right? And just start entering the, you know what? We're just going to do that. I think I can pull up an old one. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is a quick rent study I did. And so I did update it when I did the same thing in Union Heights, basically. So you just go on KSL or any of these places that you can look for rents. So what I did was I went up here, I put in the rent amount. Obviously you would have to go through and do your own CMA on the property. And then you would go 3 beds, 2 baths. and then type because that's important. And then you would arrive over here at a per square foot rent, right? That's the easiest way to equalize or handicap all of the homes so you can look at them in a meaningful way because, you know, if you just look at the number of rents, right? $1,600, it's sort of a meaningless number if you don't know what the square footage are and the beds and the baths. So if you look, we can get rents up to $1 and basically 80 cents a square foot, okay? But it'll also go all the way down to $1.15 a square foot. That's how you sort of equalize what you're looking at and see how meaningful these things are. And get this guy out of the way, okay? And then you can also go over here and just project what your annualized returns are, sort of a cap rate on all of those. That's how you can easily disseminate. If somebody's saying, you know, what do rents look like? What does the investment property market look like in Utah? This is a quick way to do it. This is about a half hour of your time. But what I'll tell you is I did this in both the Weber County area and the, let's see if I got one of these. This is an old one. I haven't updated it. What I will tell you, oh, okay, there we go. So this is playing out across all the markets, okay? So the blue line is your rents, the orange line is your square footage, and these two lines, the dotted lines, are sort of the trajectory of where the per square foot rents are going. So the bottom line is, if you buy big houses, they have horrible returns. If your investors are looking for something that's producing the best returns, you look for the smallest square footage house you can find for the cheapest price, period. And it plays out across almost every market. And it plays out especially here. So if you're looking at bungalows and that type of thing, 2 beds, 1 bath, those are where you're going to get your best returns, and it's not even close. So think about this, like, and I'm experiencing this right now. I'm buying a new home, and the square feet I'm going to move up, right? I'm increasing the square footage. But the house I own is small enough that the rents it's better for me to rent the house out that I currently own, cash flow, than it is for me to sell the house I currently own, take that cash and put it into a new house. I will save more money doing it that way because it's cash flowing, right? Because it's small. But my new house is probably too big to rent out and have it make financial sense. Now I could do it and it would pay the bills, but I could do something different with that cash. Okay, does that make sense? I talked a lot. Any questions?
Good info.
No? Okay. What questions do we have up there? So that was the quick, down and dirty version of why you should buy real estate.
There are no questions. Can you email an example of the spreadsheet, please?
Yeah, I'll email my spreadsheet, and it's 6 months old. The biggest thing that you should realize is if you're an investor, so if I were to become a single family home investor again, I don't know that the only place that I would ever consider along the Wasatch Front is Weber County. Nothing else makes sense at all. Weber County gets higher rent per square foot. You're going to get significantly better returns, right? And not to mention Weber County for the past 18, 24 months is experiencing higher growth or higher appreciation than the Salt Lake Metro is, okay? Now, there are a lot of people who will buy single family homes in other states because they're getting significantly better returns. If you go to the Midwest, their returns are so much better than ours, it's ridiculous. And the metrics that those local investors are using are so much more attractive than ours, right? Because if we're talking about borderline housing crisis, right, and we're building and everything's going up and we're talking about how unaffordable our general market is, do you think that's good for single family home investors? It's good if you bought it 15 years ago, but it's not good now, okay? So if you go to Kansas and you go to a major metro in Kansas, they're talking about 10 and 12% returns, and we're talking about 6 and 7 here. So it's significantly different. So yeah, I'll send that Excel file out to anybody who wants it. And I think I had one more thing I was gonna say. I can't remember. Anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you.
All right, I like it. Okay.
Stacy.
We did have one other question.
Buy real estate.
Okay. One other comment. Oh, where did it go? Of course, I lost it. Just kidding. Okay, we do have, did anybody in here have new listings or stuff that you guys want to talk about? Yes, no? It's like, I got something. Give you a minute to think about it. Okay. Couple months, okay.
You're waiting.
I'm trying to read it and step over here, but Julie Livers has
You come over
one.
here and I'll read.
Julie Livers has one, Cottonwood Heights, looks like 74 South, 21st East for $429. She said it's remodeled. I'm gonna pull up the other. I'm gonna pull up the MLS real fast
Okay.
while we're doing this, and we'll end with that just because I know we had some new listings coming up.
Should just log in.
Yeah. You're one of those like save password people. I'm scared to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you save passwords or no? Yes?
I don't know any of my passwords, but I don't have to remember. Brian Hardman, good target point or cap rate percent would be considered an average return for an investor. So what I think what Brian's asking is, you know, is there a percentage that makes sense for investors? No, right? There's no number. The number is what you're comfortable with, right? This is a personal thing. So there's a lot of people in the world who are used to big returns in the stock market, and they're good at it and they're comfortable with it. And they would never consider a 7% return on a single family home with all its issues. This is about comfort level and what your own personal goals are. Okay. There's some people in the world, but and to add more light to that, if you're somebody who wants to and you want to put together $5 million in cash, okay, so you can just retire and move to the woods, does cash flow matter all that much to you? Not really, right? It's sort of important, but there's other things that are important, right? I want to buy devalued assets and add, they're called value add assets, right? So I can buy something, it's value add, I put a little work into it, I leverage, I sell it, I take that chunk of money and I move on, and it grows and it grows and it grows. That's their goal. Now there's other people who want to retire and they want cash flow income every month, okay? Do we care that our asset is growing? A lot of people don't. Like, I just want the cash to come in. I want to feel comfortable that's coming in, and I just want to live, right? That's my goal. So when you're asking what is the percentage good return, that's something that's sort of like qualifying a home buyer. You know, they're going to go buy their first home. What matters to you? What school matters to you? Like, what are your goals? Do you want cash flow? Do you want this investment to grow? What type of product do you want? Okay, there's a significant difference in owning an industrial building with tenants versus multifamily with 200 units. So that's where you have to dig deep and figure out what they actually want. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Okay, you checking for the questions. Okay, real quickly while you're doing that, we have 2 new listings. I still have to pull these up separately. So we have Danny Griffith has a new one in Riverton. Autumn Creek open this weekend. Looks like it's 3,500 square feet, 0.34 acres. Looks like it's got 18-foot pool. Somebody wants a pool in Riverton. And then Wendy has a new listing. Looks like a cute little townhouse in Vernal for $146,000. Somebody comes to you and says, I want to buy a house for under $200,000, send them to Vernal. Because that's apparently the only place you can. So, yeah, well, there's the trick. Not a whole lot anywhere else. Okay, I'm gonna pull up Sugar House real quick here and let's see what we have there. Where did it go? Oh heavens.
I think you can keep scrolling down.
Yeah. It does not. There we go. Still.
There you go.
Yes, there it is. Okay, looks like we have 2. And there were like 27 listings in Salt Lake that we have active right now. If I pulled under contracts, it would be huge. I think we've had way more than 2 in the last week. They all just go under contract so quickly. By the time we do sales meeting, we don't see them, which is a good thing. That's not a bad problem at all. Okay, so we have Susan Dickstein has a new condo, 225. Looks like it's a 700 square foot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath down on 7th East and 2nd South. So downtown condo for $225,000. And then Brian Hardman, they just listed a new condo in Countrywood, 17th West and 76 South West Jordan for $190,000. So there you go. There is under $200,000 in Salt Lake. It's a condo, but that looks pretty good. Looks like that's a 900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Sounds like a deal.
Yeah, not too bad. So, okay, that's what we have. There's no other comments, buyers, listings, anything there?
We talked about Julie Livers.
We did. That one was Cottonwood Heights, by the way, 429, I believe.
Okay, yeah, and can I get a copy of my Excel spreadsheet? Deborah, yes. Brian
Okay.
understood. Sue says, not a question, but a comment. I read The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. That's a great name. In 8th grade, I figured out right there why buying real estate is a good idea, just saying. Okay, I think the only thing I would say to that is that we kind of dug deep on how you would analyze something before you purchase it, right? But on a 10-year timeline, does almost every single family home purchase work out?
For 10 years, yes.
Yeah, and that's the same with this buying stock, right? If we're patient enough, almost all these things will work out, regardless of how bad we may be at managing our asset. So on a long enough timeline, you're going to look really smart.
So all those people who bought a home right before it crashed, right? 2008, 2009, by 2018, were they in a position where they were finally making so that 10-year timeline is pretty accurate, right? Even if you buy in the bottom of a recession or right before a recession hit, so I should say a peak right before a recession, which would have been about that time, they're still making their money back in 10 years.
Yeah, and
So,
and also to put it into perspective, if you had $1 million in 2009 or 2010, and you didn't even analyze anything, and you just bought $1 million worth of real estate, do you look really smart right now? You didn't even have to, like, you just buy it. You didn't even have to go, is this a deal or not? You could just buy it and then sell it right now, and everybody would go, oh, look at that. He's a genius. No, like, right, long enough timeline, we all look smart. So that's it.
keep waiting. All right. Okay. Well, that is everything we have for today. So if you guys need anything else, otherwise be here Thursday. Come here Thursday, have lunch with us, come meet and mingle and get to know. And if you need anything, we're all up here. We are bunked into Parley's for the next 3.5, 4 months. We're super happy about it. So anyway, and we do have all the floor plans and the elevator, or the renderings and all that good stuff of the Sugar House office up here. So if you didn't get to come down on Friday and see all that, come up here and take a look. We've got them set up so you can take a look at that. So there you go. That's what we have for this week. Thank you for everything. And also really quickly, Listing Concierge, if anybody has questions about why to use it. I've got a couple of really awesome testimonials from a couple of agents in both offices who hadn't been using it before, but started using even just that little brochure that we have. And they started using them in listing presentations. And one of them were like, I have gotten every listing presentation I've gone on since I started using those. So if you have any questions about that stuff and why to use it and how to leverage it for getting more listings, Listing Concierge isn't about the marketing and selling your listing. It's about getting you more business. So if you want some help in how to leverage that, and you should be getting another listing or two off of every one that you use it for. So there's ways to do that. Come talk to me and we can go through that. That's all we have. So we're good. You're ready to go. Everybody dismissed. Have a good Tuesday.
And
Okay.